Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Good evening, everyone. 2.5 years after a shocking frenzied stabbing attack and police manhunt, a Launceston man has been found guilty of leaving a mother of 3 fighting for life and killing her new boyfriend. It took the jury just 2 hours to find Kerry Lee Whiting guilty of the brutal assault on the Ravenswood couple.
It was a crime which rocked Tasmania. A couple attacked while they slept in the early hours of November 25, 2021. A suspect on the run, 2.5 years later, justice. Kerry Lee Whiting found guilty of murdering Adrian Main, his ex-partner's new boyfriend. Among the 20 stab wounds inflicted on the 36-year-old, it was a blow under his left arm which pierced his lung and left him to bleed to death. Whiting's ex-partner survived being stabbed 27 times in the upper body, neck and arm. Natalie Joyce spent 6 days in intensive care, but identified her attacker to police before being taken to hospital. Her teenage son wrestled Whiting off his mother, just 16 years old at the time, coming face to face with his father. Whiting then spent the next week on the run, evading a major police manhunt. A key issue in the case, the attacker's identity. The defence arguing neither Ms Harris or her son gave a reliable account of what happened that night and that Whiting couldn't be tied to the scene. In her summing up, Justice Tamara Jago told the jury to scrutinise the evidence carefully when coming to its decision. The panel took just 2 hours to find eyewitness evidence outweighed a lack of forensic findings from the scene. Kerry Lee Whiting had no reaction on hearing the guilty verdict, standing impassively as his future was decided. He is expected to appear again tomorrow, where he and the court will be read impact statements from his victim and those whose lives have been turned upside down by his actions. Annie Green, 7 Tasmania News.
In a sign of the tough economic times, an Australian food manufacturing business based in Tasmania has appointed voluntary administrators. HS Fresh Food, headquartered in Cambridge, specialises in ready-made salad foods, supplying its product to 4 states.
500 jobs on the line, including 80 in Tasmania. Administrators have taken the reins of HS Fresh Food, which specialises in salads and pre-prepared vegetables.
It's a complete shock to workers at HS Fresh that they've gone into administration. There was no indication at all that the company was struggling in any way.
Starting as a family-run business called Houston's Farm, it later rebranded to its current name with operations across the country. Founder Anthony Houston uncontactable today, but his pride for the company was evident in this recent YouTube post.
My family started this business off probably back in 1957 when we came out from Ireland, and with mother and father and 6 kids.
And how he had slowly grown the business to what it is today.
About 25 years ago, we started growing crops and lettuce mainly, and then started up herbs and started mixing them, and hence we've now got the salad business.
The administrators today confirmed the business was in the advanced stages of being sold when they were appointed, and it's likely they will continue with that process.
We are meeting with our members tomorrow to identify any concerns that they have, to work through those concerns with the administrators.
Creditors of the company will hold their first meeting with the administrators on June 26. Tasmania's Department of State Growth is also engaging with the administrators to ensure that impacted employees receive appropriate support. Melinda Ogden, 7 Tasmania News.
Tasmania's Legislative Council has voted in support of a motion calling on the state government to immediately establish a task force to prioritise the removal of children on remand from Ashley Youth Detention Centre. It comes after a promise by the state government in 2021 to shut down the facility. Independent member for Nelson, Meg Webb, who tabled the motion, says she welcomes the support of other members in the upper house. MPs are demanding answers over the government's planned cuts to Tasmania's health system. The Health Minister says his department is recruiting more staff than ever, but some say actions speak louder than words.
Some say it's plagued with issues, but the state government is confident it can rebuild our health system, saying it's in the midst of a major recruitment blitz.
And we have put more, 2,500 healthcare workers extra in the last 10 years, 1,390 more nurses in the last 10 years.
We are investing in frontline services. We've committed to frontline services.
But some are calling foul. Last week, a leaked health department document revealed the government was preparing to make staffing cuts, proposing a vacancy control committee, which would cut roles if deemed unnecessary.
To hear that the Liberals are going in harder to cut health at the same time as that they're pretending they'll be expanding it, it's depressing and cynical.
But the Health Minister insists frontline services will be left alone.
There will be no cuts to our frontline services. In fact, exactly the opposite. We're employing more doctors, more nurses, more AMBOs, more allied health professionals.
We need to make sure that this government isn't going to make massive cuts that are going to hurt Tasmanian patients.
Guy Barnett also says having oversight of recruitment throughout the department is entirely reasonable, but this will not result in a reduction in doctors, nurses, paramedics or other frontline staff. But it's the other frontline staff that have some concern.
What is the frontline? Is it just doctors and nurses, or does it include psychologists, pharmacists, all of the other really important roles that are in our health systems?
There is no such thing as a backline. They're just, every job counts.
Lily Thompson, 7 Tasmania News.
Clarence City Council could end up forking out around $200,000 on an elector poll to determine the location of the AFL High Performance Centre. Its result of being presented with a petition of 1,000 signatures. There are currently 2 sites being considered, Charles Hand Park and the Rosny Parklands. It's not confirmed what the question will be, but Council says it will work with the Rosny Parklands group to determine the wording. The poll must be completed in 60 days. Tasmanian conservation groups claim 2 hydrogen and e-fuel projects in northern Tasmania will have significant impacts on renewable energy demand and the environment, according to a new report. The groups say HIF near Burnie and Able Energy in Bell Bay will require hundreds of new wind turbines and potentially threaten native forest.
We need to have a clear guidelines of exactly how much hydrogen they're expecting to create and what exactly that impact is going to have on our electricity supply and land use as well.
The state government says both projects propose using renewable electricity and wood sourced from certified plantation forests in its fuel production. If you're feeling weighed down by the midwinter work burnout, there's a chance to ditch your ordinary job for an odd one. Tourism Tasmania has listed some unique and quirky roles in a bid to bring more visitors down during off-season.
If you've ever wanted to add Wombat Walker to your resume, now is your chance to do so. 9-month-old George is looking for someone to help guide his morning waddle.
Wake up George, sometimes he needs a little bit of coaxing out of bed on these cold mornings, and then go for a little wander.
The East Coast adventure, just one of 10 odd jobs up for grabs. Those looking to ditch the daily grind can pick a different adventure. A wine whisperer, oyster organiser or truffle snuffler. And for the extra brave, there's a paranormal investigator.
We know that in wintertime people can get a little bit tired, a little bit over the daily grind, so we just wanted to bring something to Australians and Tasmanians to think about a change of pace.
But there is a slight catch to the uniquely Tasmanian offer. The career change will be temporary and unpaid.
You'll have 2 days of doing the job. It's not a paid experience, it's a volunteer role, but we'll cover your flights and accommodation.
The quirky concept looking to lure visitors to the state, acting as a tourism boost over the winter months.
Winter is unfortunately our quiet season. However, there's something magical about it. You get the place to yourself, like that animal, you're not with the crowds.
If a wombat walker is at the top of your job dream list, there's a few things you'll have to bear in mind. It might not look like it now, but George is known to have a bit of a wander, so you'll have to stop him from being distracted. That's if you're not distracted from his cuteness.
Sometimes he chooses his own adventure, so you're never quite sure what George is gonna do.
George is already loving the attention. Applications close July 8, so you better get in quick. Victoria Risto, 7 Tasmania News.
It's hoped more small businesses can avoid falling victim to invoice scams under a federal e-voicing initiative. A table of traders meeting with the federal minister in Hobart, discussing how to better protect their businesses.
There's additional resources for the Australian Tax Office to work to improve and support small businesses in technology adaptation.
More than 2,000 local traders have signed up for e-invoicing. Nationwide, businesses were scammed out of $91 million last year alone. Whether you like it neat or on the rocks, 40 of Tasmania's best whisky producers are getting ready to serve you. Tasmania's popular whisky event is now just 6 weeks away, hoping to bring in fans of the spirit from across the globe.
It can take up to 20 years to produce a drop like this one. But when it tastes this good, it's down the hatch in minutes.
The knowledge of Tasmanian whisky is globally recognised now.
More than 40 distilleries pouring their liquid creations at this year's Tasmanian Whisky Week in August. Past years seeing thousands head along.
We've got over 20 events that reach from the north to the south. We've got lots of regional dispersal, starting off with an amazing whisky weekend up in Ironhouse.
The event just one of many helping increase winter tourism numbers. Amid cost of living pressures, operators are keen to see interstate and international tourists return as soon as possible.
Everybody's discretionary spending is being hit, so we are seeing a slight reduction in visitors coming overall, but these events are key drivers to our visitor economy in the winter.
With events all over the state, there's almost too many whiskies to try, but I have been advised this Spring Bay one is one of the most sought after drops, especially if you're after something unique.
There's a lot of distilleries not open to the public, and the public then get a chance to go in there. They can talk to the distillers, to the people making the decisions and making the whisky themselves.
Ruby Cairns, 7 Tasmania News.
.124 Sydney veteran Lauren Smith is joining the Canes. The all-rounder debuted a decade ago as a 19-year-old for the Sixers in the inaugural WBBL season before switching to the Thunder. Her best outing last season was a 3 for 16 effort. She's well known for ferocious off-spin bowling and a classic catch or two. Once a powerhouse of Tasmanian footy, it's been a while since Scottsdale has tasted victory. About to step up into the Premier League next season when the TSL ends, they're embarking on an ambitious mission to win a trophy within 5 years. The Scottsdale greats remember watching from the stands when the Magpies won their first NTFA premiership back in 1964.
They won again in 65, 68, 70, 71, 73.
By the time Danny was old enough to join the team, it was cementing itself as the state's most successful club.
Slack defence by Launceston, long kick by Nichols, has capitalised fully with a great goal.
Their grand final victories through the 80s, drawing huge crowds and even skydivers to York Park.
We were a force to be reckoned with once we got that winning feeling. And every time we won, we got hungrier. People couldn't stop us.
Those glory days are a distant memory, though, winless since round 1 last year.
The results haven't gone our way so far. We haven't had a win, but the guys are putting in the work, and yeah, that's all we can ask for, really.
And with the demise of the TSL, next year they'll be facing clubs like North Launceston in the new NTFA Premier League. But number 1 ticket holder Peter Gutwin has a plan.
Within 5 years, this proud club will win a premiership.
The club knows it's going to take drastic improvement to become competitive, and they've already started recruiting players for next season, looking as far afield as Victoria.
If they can see improvement from round 1 to round 18 for us, and go, all right, oh, these guys are on the right track with a few of the young guys playing.
Selling the Northeast lifestyle and working with local industry to promise work.
There are jobs available in the Northeast, and we are prepared to work with you as we build a platform for success.
And the 135-year-old club is already firing shots.
North Launceston, we are coming for you.
A win over Derwent on the weekend is a sign OHA's Premier League season is on the right track before facing powerhouse Canterbury. Regaining some key talent should also prove a big help a little later in the season.
Joe Murphy, who's part of the Tigers squad last year, he'll be coming back within next month. 3 quality players sitting in the wings ready to come back. It's going to only push us further.
Derwent's women are staying chipper despite their winless start to the season.
We've seen great development in all of our younger girls, so it's been sort of good to see. Obviously we aren't winning games, but I mean we came into the season expecting that, considering we had such a young group. They play the Diamondbacks on Saturday.
Good evening. Hobart 11 today, 12 the top 4 Launceston and Devonport, 13 recorded in Burnie. Further out, we saw 13 also recorded at Wynyard, 12 for the Islands, Low Head and St Helens. Friendly Beaches, Maria Island and Strawn all 10, 9 the maximum for Grove and Ooze. Spurring a thought though for those in Laiwini, they shivered through a freezing -6 degrees overnight, warming to a high of just 3 degrees today. Extensive low cloud is seen about much of southern and eastern areas today, extending into central parts. A low in the Tasman Sea is pushing cloud along the eastern coastline. Now tomorrow that low over the Tasman Sea will remain near stationary while the low over the Bight approaches western Victoria. Southeast to southwesterly winds 10 to 20 knots about the south and east. Variable winds to 10 knots elsewhere. Southwesterly swells increasing up to 2 metres in the west and 3 metres in the south and the east. A road weather alert has been issued for many parts of the state tomorrow. Icy roads will make driving conditions dangerous. A reminder to please stay safe and drive to the conditions. Showers for Hobart and Geeveston tomorrow, 11 degrees. A morning frost for Bothwell, 9 expected there. A morning frost also for the north, but sunny afternoon for Launceston, 12. Much the same for Devonport, 13, and cloudy in Cressy with 11. Sunshine for Burnie, 12. Sunny after a morning frost in Strawn, 11. Cloudy for Curry on King Island, 12 degrees. St Helens partly cloudy, 13. Cloudy also for Swansea, 12. And 12 also for Orford with possible showers. Now there's very little change to the 3-day forecast with frosty and foggy conditions expected to continue. Showers about parts of the south and east on Thursday, otherwise fine. Friday, isolated showers about the south, west and east. And as we head towards the weekend, Saturday, fine apart from isolated showers about the west and far south. Sunny in Sydney tomorrow, 16. Increasing showers in Adelaide, 18. Another morning frost in Canberra, 10's the maximum there. And a lovely 31 degrees in Darwin. Cloudy right now in Hobart, 8 degrees. Clear in Launceston with 7 and also clear in Devonport. It was a brisk morning at Ben Lomond with lifts now opening for the first time of the season. Good news for ski goers, Kim.
And that it is. Thank you very much, Claire.